Welcome to TAP's Industry Analysis TIA Spotlight. 3 questions in 9 minutes. Yes, a short amount of time, but it will absolutely be full of great stuff. My name is John Ragsdale, co-founder of TAP Innovations, and we have a special guest today, Tom Hosseini, principal consultant at Capro Consulting. Thanks for joining our show today, Tom. However, before we get started with the questions, please introduce yourself and your company in less than 30 seconds.
Thank you, John. Thanks for having me on this recording. It's a pleasure to be here. So my name is Tom Hosseini. I'm the principal founder and consultant at Capro Consulting. I spent about 18 years in the IT industry working in different capacities, analyst, project manager, and so on. And then in 2013, I decided to go a completely different direction and enter the world of recruiting and consulting for myself and formed Capro Consulting. And since 2013, I've really focused on serving the needs of clients that I have come across in the way that I can basically find them the best resources at obviously very competitive rates and really establish relationships with my clients so that I can prolong those into the future. And that has been the case for me. Obviously, my main focus is recruiting, but over the last couple of years, I've also engaged some of my clients into doing consulting engagements for them, utilizing resources that I find myself in order to do some of the development work that they have for them.
Excellent, Tom. We're glad to have you today. Let's jump right in. As we all know very well, we are experiencing one of the craziest situations we've ever witnessed, COVID-19. So let's start with business challenges that you, your teams, your customers, or your vendors are experiencing in your industry. Question number 1, what are those new challenges you are facing since this COVID-19 stuff started disrupting the world?
I think, to be very blunt and sort of to the point, the biggest challenge is that I think the business that I was doing and the work that I was doing has pretty much stopped. But that's not something that is just unique to me. I think this is the case for everybody. We constantly hear the term, we're all in this together. And I think that's the best way of describing how everyone, including myself, we are finding ourselves in a very, very unique situation that we have never been before. Fortunately, and the way that I see it personally is that, and I said this in a video that I recorded and posted on LinkedIn, we are not really in the same spot that we were perhaps 10, 11 years ago when the 2008, 2009 situation and the breakdown of the economy happened. Back then, things were very different. I was watching a financial interview with an economist, and this individual used a very interesting analogy and basically said, the US economy is like a very expensive and luxury vehicle that we were driving, and it has hit a tree and it has completely stopped. We know what's happened. We now need to get out of the car and we need to assess what the damage is so we can fix it and we can be on our way. And I think that's a great way of looking at it. The challenges that I'm facing, that I think 95% of businesses out there are facing, is that when do we think this is going to be over so we can get back to normal? Companies are not, some companies obviously are losing money, are losing business opportunities, but the fundamentals of a lot of businesses and the fundamentals of the economy are very strong and still very much intact. And so this disruption that we're experiencing hopefully is temporary. And once we are able to put things behind us with the help of the healthcare industry and the physicians and the nurses who are doing a phenomenal job, we can hopefully get back on track and continue with the way things were. Now, would it be exactly the same way? I don't know, but I'm certainly hoping that, again, once we get past this major stumbling block that we've come across, we can get back to some form of normality.
I really like the analogy, right? And so with that analogy, with that picture of running our luxury car into the tree, so with those challenges, what are you doing differently that you're not doing before? So how do we go to that next step? How do we get our car fixed?
That's a great point and question, John. I think one thing that we all need to practice more of, especially nowadays, is I tell myself that every day. I need to be more patient. I need to be more patient, and I need to think of new ways that I can approach clients, or I can approach potential new clients and see how can I help them and how can I serve them. I think, there's always a positive that comes out of a situation, if we're going to call this a negative situation. One of the positives that's coming out of this situation is that a lot of people are finding out, and I'm sure you've seen this and read about this in articles, a lot of people are finding out that working from home, not only it's feasible, but it's not such a bad thing. It's saving a lot of people money. It's saving on perhaps pollution out there. It's saving on traffic. It creates a lot of savings. And if people are still able to remain productive, that's something that will be very good for everybody, and I guess a lot of us all around. I've been working from my home office now for the past 7 years, and for me, this situation is not a whole lot different. But in talking to some friends and some people that I have previously worked with, they are saying that, hey, I'm able to get my work done. Sometimes I'm even able to be more efficient and get more done in a shorter amount of time. So I think being more patient, looking at things and not necessarily thinking, oh my God, this is the end, or I don't know how to work. I think having a positive mindset and looking at it from that standpoint is very key. And also considering that a lot of companies out there will discover that you can still get a lot of your work done without people having to necessarily be in one spot, because that could probably be the new norm that we could be marching towards.
I love, I'm gonna just focus on that word patience, because I need a lot of patience myself. Again, great points there, Tom. Now for the last question, again, this is a brainstorming question. This is a think out of the box type of question. If money and resources were not an issue, what would you do?
John, I've been doing, the answer to this question is something that I've been doing for the last few years. And this is not to promote myself or anything like that, but I get approached by job seekers and people who need help, either looking for work or looking for connections, or even needing help with their resumes. And what I've tried to do in my spare time is help people, advise them on who to contact, how to approach companies, how to get connections, how to work on their LinkedIn profiles, how to improve their resumes. I think this is a great time for all of us to spend more time in serving others. I think a shift in the mentality of our society that needs to happen is that, unfortunately, sometimes we find ourselves in this mindset of it's always about me. Let me take care of me. Let me do something for me first. I think we need to switch that around, and we need to look at society, and we need to look at people in a way that, how can I be of service to other people? How can I serve the needs of my fellow human beings? Because this is a time that we find ourselves in a very, very unique and similar situation. But that mindset doesn't have to just last for the next 4 or 5 weeks or the next couple of months while we're dealing with this pandemic. Why can't we look at it in a way that once this is behind us, hopefully, we have a mindset of how can we do more to help other people? So if money and resources were not an issue, I would certainly continue and do more of helping people who are looking for a job, helping people who are looking to perhaps fix their resumes, and putting them on the right path in order to assist them in landing a better job, which will hopefully help them have a better future for themselves and their family. And I think, again, if people look at this situation as a unique opportunity, glass is half full, what is one of the positives? One of the positives is, if you have any spare time, what can you do to help your fellow human beings improve their lives in some way?
Tom, as you're sitting there talking, right, I'm going through my head and coming up with, oh, you know what, I need to help this person, and this person. So thank you for sharing that. I love the concept of serving others and servant leadership. Thank you for, again, sharing that. Excellent ideas. Now, hopefully this video will inspire you and others, as it's already inspired me, ways to implement some of these things during this pandemic to help others. Any final comments from you, Tom?
I think, I want to kind of pick up on that last point. I think this is a very, very unique time that we are probably unlikely to experience in the future. Could there be another pandemic in the future? Yes. Would it be exactly the same? Hopefully not, probably not. So what can we do as individuals to make sure that once we move on from this, what are the lessons that we're going to learn from this? And I think for me personally, one of the lessons, and this is something that John, you can't really turn on and say, okay, from today I'm going to switch on the the key that is patience or helping other people. This is something that's going to be an ongoing practice. And I think if you have a whiteboard in your office, in your home office, or in your cubicle, or maybe a piece of paper, maybe write some of the things that you are experiencing today and how you would like others to lend a hand to you, or how you would like to help others. Write those things down and keep it on your radar, as they say, and make sure once we are past this situation that we don't forget these lessons that we are learning during these times, and we can use those and implement those moving forward.
Well, what I heard was patience. I heard serving others and write those things down. So great points. Excellent. Again, thank you, Tom Hosseini, Principal Consultant at Capro Consulting, for joining us here on TAP's Industry Analysis TIA Spotlight. Stay safe, 6 or more feet apart and healthy, and let's work together to battle through these challenging times.
Thank you very much, John, for the opportunity to talk with you as well.
Awesome.